That is the absolute worst thing that you could do with the account. Probably 20, 30, 40 strategies, thousands of back tests, that any mistake I make is going to be way more painful than anything that the market could possibly do to me. I also
Mhm.
feel some responsibility to the prop firm itself to, actually have back tested it. I just say to myself, you know what? I'll see the account burn to the ground before I break my rules right now. So the strategy is solely on the 1 minute chart. And thanks FunderPro for helping my dreams become a reality.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another funded trader interview for Funder Pro. My name is Tyler Davis, and I am talking to Brandon. Brandon, I don't think I got your last name. What's your last name?
It's Hinthorn actually.
Brandon Hinthorn. Nice to meet you, Brandon. Brandon is a funded trader with us with some very impressive statistics, I might add. From what I understand, you took one challenge, you passed it on your first try, and you have kept that same 25K funded account since you got it, and you've received multiple payouts on that account so far. Correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's been really great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I definitely want to dive into that more. That's rare that we see that. Even most traders that get payouts, they normally go through a few accounts or they'll get some payouts and then they don't hang on to that account. So for you doing it on only one challenge and then hanging on to that account, getting multiple payouts and not blowing that counter or starting to increase your risk and take extra risk is impressive. So I'm very excited to talk to you about that and your risk management and all that good stuff. But before we dive into that, I just want to ask you a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into trading, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm actually my profession is a teacher,
Okay.
and I was in the military at one time as well, which helped pay for me to become a teacher. And things have gotten a little um, complicated on the just education side. Things that are happening. But so I decided, what, I'm going to try trading,
Hmm.
um, and I don't know what all you want me to go into right now, but that's basically my background. I was in the military, became a teacher, and then I decided to get into the market. And I heard about prop firms, and so I decided that I was going to take my shot at it, and that would be a great way to make money and to live. So
Sure. Well, first off, thank you for your service, your military service. And if I might ask, what do you teach? Do you teach a specific subject or topic?
So I was a Spanish teacher and a French teacher,
Okay.
um, but right now I'm a tutor. I tutor students who are either in the hospital or have gotten themselves into some trouble and can't be in the classroom. And it's actually been really rewarding for sure.
I bet. I bet. That's cool. That's really cool. Um, I unfortunately can only speak English. I was terrible in Spanish class, unfortunately. But so you said that you decided to get into trading. What got you into trading? How, like, were you aware of the financial markets? Is this something you were interested in since you were young? Have you just been kind of a long-term investor? So you were aware, like, what exactly piqued your interest into trading itself specifically?
Yeah, so I have not actually been interested in trading most of my life. Just a few years ago, I was watching YouTube videos, and one of them came across about prop firms, and so I started doing research into different strategies. I watched hundreds of hours of people showing off their strategies on YouTube, which and um, other media, and that
Hmm.
did not work at all. The strategies you find on YouTube are absolutely trash. Nobody's actually giving their secrets out that is actually profitable. And I've so then I started this journey of back testing, and
Hmm.
I tried different people's strategies, and I said, you know what, I'm going to make my own strategy. And so I had a strategy, and I back tested it for hundreds of days. Doesn't work. Next strategy, next idea. hundreds of days doesn't work, right? Probably 20, 30, 40 strategies, thousands of back tests. And then I had this idea, which is my current strategy, that I back
Mm-hmm.
tested for 6 months. It's on the minute chart. So 6 months is a really freaking long time. And so, so, and seeing like just the success on that strategy, I decided to go ahead and purchase a account with um, FunderPro, which um, there was one of the YouTubers that I really like. That's real. He's real, kind of like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just real. Like
Mm-hmm.
not everything is gonna work.
Yeah,
He
sure.
recommended it,
Mm-hmm.
and so I purchased the account. Things have went really well. I made like $1,900 on a 25K account. Kind of
Nice.
wishing I had went for the 200K account, but
Hey, you can listen. You keep taking those payouts, and you just use those payouts to purchase the 200K account. Start scaling up that way.
absolutely, yeah. And that's kind of my plan. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck. Well, first off, kudos to you. Most people, I don't think, come into trading with that level of discipline, willing to put in the days, the months, the hours that it took, I'm sure, for you to back test without everybody who gets into trading, not everybody, but majority of people that get into trading are in a rush to make money, and what they end up doing is losing money because they're diving into the market with just unprepared, without the proper knowledge, without the proper back testing, without a proper edge, and they end up losing money. And then eventually, once they get so sick of it, maybe they start to develop some of that discipline and that research and that type of thing. So kudos to you for that. That's an awesome show of discipline, and I think that's something that all the viewers should take note of. The amount of time and effort that you were willing to put into back testing to finding a strategy that you knew was actually profitable. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it has been kind of an obsession back testing because
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting my own money on the line there whenever I am going with a prop firm. I also
Mm-hmm.
feel some responsibility to the prop firm itself to, actually have back tested it. So
We
why?
thank you for that, by the way.
No problem, no problem. Uh, but why go into the market with real money if it hasn't worked in the past?
Mm-hmm.
We have to look. We have to look at the past a long ways to know if it's even possible for the thing that you're doing to be profitable. And so I, I do think there's two ways to trade. I do think that you can do the back testing and use the strategy. There's some people who are able to trade and choose which way the market's going to go and
Just got
everything.
a more of like a discretionary style of trading, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it just takes experience and everything.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But if you're not any good at that, then you're gonna have to put in the work and put in the hours, and then maybe eventually, I'm hoping eventually that's kind of where it goes. That I just know, what's
Yeah.
gonna happen next.
So you did all the back testing and you bought the prop firm challenge. Have you ever traded your own cash account, or was your first trading experience with this 25K prop firm account?
So my first experience with trading was actually it was some I don't know what it was. I don't remember the name of it. I'm not even gonna try. But it was like there was cryptocurrency and
Mm-hmm.
all the and it had everything, and it was my own money. I put $100 in, and I started trading December when I wasn't working, and I doubled the money actually. But then I tried doing that with a prop firm account for with other prop firms,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually traded with my forex funds, which we all know what happened with them, and I traded with some other ones as well. But the one that has treated me the best is FunderPro, and I actually have not seen this kind of success until now, and that's because I've learned all the lessons. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're probably going to go into this, but my lesson is if I want to make $2,000 on the market, I actually have to let my profit go to $2,000. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people that are listening to this, they will get that account and they will trade and they'll be making $1,000 on the account, and they'll be like, you know what, that sounds really good. When that is the exactly the opposite. It's like if your plan is to go for whatever the market's going to give you, don't base it upon what at the moment what is the profit is. Base it upon what the market is telling you. And I think that's huge because um, I messed myself up one time and took my profit, and I shouldn't have, and then I end up losing the account
Yeah,
before.
it can send you on a tilt. I know me personally, I have learned over the years of my trading that I struggle worse if I close a trade early and then it runs without me, and that has a higher chance of sending me on tilt than if I'm in a trade and I trail my stop loss and it comes back and ends up stopping me out. That I'm more okay with than I am just taking my profit. And I like you said, I like to see what the market will give me. I don't like to cap my potential winnings on a trade. So I relate with that a lot. But I do think it's important that each trader knows kind of themselves, right, and what their kind of their risk tolerance is, and what's better for them. Because trading really is avoiding the blowups. Coming in every day and protecting your capital, avoiding those big blowups. And if you can avoid those, you can if you can stay in the game and you can hold your winners, you can make some progress for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like so last Friday, it's like
Mm-hmm.
Friday's been the best day for me, um, and I lost $800, and that's the moment. That is the moment right there when you lost close to your max of what you're
Mm-hmm.
willing to lose, and you say, oh, what if I just take one more trade? What if I just do one more thing? That is the absolute worst thing that you could do with the account. Uh, and with the strategy, I had dips, but
Mm-hmm.
I never ever broke my rules. I may have accidentally went in the wrong direction once or twice, but I immediately exited out of those. So I think I think really FunderPro is getting the best version of me
Mm-hmm.
because I've learned out the lessons and everything. And so, but I
Sure.
think things are going really well, and I feel really confident about the account and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're off to a great start. That's for sure. Let's dive into your strategy a little bit more. So you mentioned that you did a lot of back testing. You use the 1 minute chart. Is there a particular asset that you trade? Do you trade gold? Do you trade a forex pair? Do you trade the indices? What's your drink of choice?
So I absolutely only trade the US 30. Uh,
Okay.
I do not trade anything else, just the US 30. And the reason is because the US 30 has the best spread. It is the most stable in my experiences.
Mhm.
For one thing, the US 30 is traded by more traders in the world than any other asset. And what
Mhm.
that means is stability, and you're going to have a great spread because it's more competition. And
Yeah.
so people out there who are trading some of these random ones are losing lose their accounts because of the spread and the drops and everything. So I just trade the US 30, yeah, on the 1 minute chart for this strategy.
Mhm. So yeah, I think that's an important factor for people to look at, especially depending on like your lot sizes and how frequently you trade. If you use a bigger lot size or you trade more frequently, those spreads can add up for sure. So I think that's a good point to be made. Um, Now, the 1 minute chart you use, I would imagine for your trade management and everything. Do you do any analysis on the higher time frames, or do you just focus in day to day on that 1 minute chart?
So the strategy is solely on the 1 minute chart.
Hmm.
It is I do not take into consideration any other level. That may seem counterintuitive, but I can't because I made rules that I have to follow on that strategy. So if I start taking into account other other levels, then it gets really complicated. It's also very difficult to back test things. The back test the 1 minute chart and the 15-minute chart or whatever you're going to go off
At the
of
same time.
at the same time. It's just a freaking headache. So I just don't do it.
Yeah. Uh, so I like that. I do personally use multi time frame analysis in my trading, but a lot of the traders that I have learned from, and by traders that I've learned from, I mean Al Brooks, who's been around a long time. He's written a few books, has a couple of video courses, reading price charts bar by bar. But he says essentially the same thing. If you're trading on the 5 minute chart, there's no sense in looking at anything else other than that 5 minute chart, and the trends within that 5 minute chart, the candles within that 5 minute chart. That anything else is just more of a distraction. So I can definitely understand focusing in just on that chart. Now, when you have this 1 minute strategy, this 1 minute chart strategy, what kind of risk to reward do you aim for? How do you manage your trades? Will you scale into a trade? Do you scale out? Do you hold full to your take profit? Can you give us a little bit more details on your strategy?
Yeah, so I take one position, and, in the direction of the market is going. I
This trend, you mean, essentially?
Yeah, the trend. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's definitely a trend strategy. Um, and so the trend days are the big days.
Sure.
Um, but um, I will um, I don't get out slowly or anything. Like if I'm getting out, I get out. Um, uh, what else?
So I asked if you scaled in or if you scale out, but it sounds like you kind of just take your one entry and then your full take profit. Um, Risk to reward, like, are you risking one to make two? Or are you risking one to make four? What kind of risk to reward do you typically aim for? I know you mentioned you like to see what the market will give you, but do you have a risk to reward strategy?
Yeah, so my risk is set to 50 points on the market at the
Okay.
moment. If there's low volatility, I have made room to decrease the amount of points that I risk, and I increase the size
Hmm.
to make it on. So whenever I was doing the strategy, it was $400 per trade that I could lose, and that's just based on the back testing. I could lose three trades in a day and still survive. Um, and so $400. Whenever I got the live account, I actually decreased my size by three quarters in
Smart.
order to avoid losing the account suddenly. Because if you have 4 or 5 bad days in a row, then you just lose the account. So, that's something that has helped a lot because I know I am not going to lose the account. It's going to take a couple of weeks at least for that to actually happen. Um, and I don't actually have a reward um, amount that
Mhm.
I put that to. Whatever the market's going to give me, that's what it's going to give me. If you look at my win to loss ratio, you're going to see that I lose more trades than I win, and that's because I am taking more profit on each
Sure.
of those, and you're going to have some of those are going to go huge, 200, 300 point profit
Mhm.
days. But of course, with the consistency rule of the FunderPro, I was my profit target was $900 for a
Sure.
day on the 25K challenge. And so going into the live account, I was like, do I keep that consistency rule or do I not? And I
Mm.
went back and forth on it. And I think both of them would be profitable. And
Mhm.
I think it's interesting thing that you guys did with that. I think it's good. But yeah, that's something that I let run. Um,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the consistency role for anybody who's watching is something that is in effect during our challenge phase. Essentially, it requires a minimum of three trading days to pass a phase of a challenge or the full fast track challenge. You just can't have more than 45% of your total profit come from one day. So that's what he's. Oh, there we go. The closing bell there. I don't know if you heard that, but he. So that's what he's referring to, the consistency role. But that does go away once you're in the funded account. Now, so you don't set a set profit target. You just like to see what the market will give you. Do you then trail your stop loss under higher lows as the market's working in your favor? Will you trail your stop loss under higher lows or no?
No, actually, I'm like just stickler for my rules, and I don't have any rules for
Mhm.
trailing my stop. So, in reality, I could be up, and I have been up 1,000 or $1,500 or whatever for
Mhm.
a day. Maybe not that much. Maybe you know $600 or $700, and then I
Mhm.
lose all of that. But what I found in back testing is that trailing stop loss, it will get you. It
Yeah.
it because you think, oh, this is a great thing because we're lowering our risk, we're lowering our risk.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
ends up happening? The market just loves to do this, up and down, and grab it and then just go back up. So it's really is like you have this skill and you're trying to weigh like, oh, do I put this on there? Like, am I going to get more profit from this? Am I going to get so I back tested the strategies that have trailing stop losses.
Mhm.
Usually it just evens itself out, because you're going to not get stopped out sometimes and get more profit, and then sometimes you're going to get stopped out before you would have, which would decrease the amount that you would lose. And so, really, it just gives you, in my opinion, in my strategy for me, right? It's just more work to do that and
Mhm.
still getting the same results.
Gotcha. No, I think that's interesting. I think that's very fair point about if you trail your stop, especially if you trail it too tight, you're going to get stopped just to see the market continue in that direction. I think that's a fine line that we walk as traders. It's a tricky balancing act. But I want to ask you, so if you don't have a set profit target and you're willing to take what the market is going to give you and you don't trail your stop loss, what is your exit criteria? What gets you to exit a trade? Just are you once you hit a certain profit that you're like, oh, okay, I'm happy with today's profit, I'm going to call it a day, or what gets you out of a trade?
Yeah, no, and I absolutely can't just stop, right? Of course, if something crazy happens, like a market, some, like the what do they call it, the halts or something like that
Yeah.
happens
Hmm.
unexpectedly, or I see some movements I don't like. That's my only time that I can get out and break my strategy. But okay, so really, what it is I trade 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes, I will
Okay.
take a trade, either short or long, and then, if in 20 minutes later, if the market is showing me on the 9 EMA
Hmm.
that it's going to go in the opposite direction, then I'm going to go ahead and get in. I'm going to close that trade and I'm going to get in the opposite direction. And I do that about, I think it's 9 times in a day in a row in a specific period of time during the day. It's on the exact minutes. It's starting at 11 o'clock. And the reason why I start at 11 o'clock is because I don't want to have anything to do with the opening of the market. Things are crazy up and down. It
Hmm.
might work. Also, it's very early in the morning for me, and I just don't want to be up during that time. But I started at 11 because it tends to be less havoc,
Volatile. Hmm.
less, yeah, less volatile, but still volatile enough where we're still picking directions and getting points. Like if I did it in the middle of the night, it's not going to work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because I
So,
backtest. Go ahead.
so when you say the 9 EMA, you have the 9 EMA on the 1 minute chart. Say so you wait till 11. Would you take your first trade at 11 or 11:20?
At 11
At
exactly.
11. Okay. So you'll take a trade at 11 and you'll hold that trade for 20 minutes or until it hits your stop loss. And 20 minutes in, if you're still above the 9 EMA, you hold it. But if you've broken back underneath the 9 EMA, you switch short. That's essentially what your strategy is.
Exactly. But there is but one thing that it's little
A
detail
little
is
nuance. Hmm.
that it's not about whether I'm above the EMA or below the EMA. I've
Hmm.
tested a lot of strategies about being above the EMA or below the EMA, and they just usually, the profits are not as high as this one. It's about the tilt of the EMA. So I don't
Okay.
know if that makes any sense, but it's like, is the EMA going up or is the EMA going down? It doesn't have to do
Okay.
with the prices above or below it.
Okay, so you're talking essentially if the 9 EMA is still on a uptrend, or if it has started to kind of crest and go towards a to downtrend. That's what you make your decision on. Is just the direction of that EMA, not the price
Exactly.
and effect to it.
Yeah, and the only exception, which does not happen, it just doesn't happen, if the
Mm-hmm.
EMA is exactly straight,
Mm-hmm.
I will take the 21 EMA, which direction it is going. I have that
Okay.
on.
So you keep the 9 and the 21 on your chart. Are those the only two EMAs that you have on your chart? Any other indicators at all?
Yeah, I have that on there, and I have the ATR, which shows
Oh,
the
average
volume,
true range.
the the market.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why I have that is at the very beginning of the day, I look at it. I have certain thresholds. If it's 15, then it's this size. If it's about 20, if it's averages, sorry, rounds to 20, then I have my normal size. If it's lower, then I up it. If it's 10, then I'll up it as well and decrease my stop loss because the market is telling me it's not going to go, it's not moving. So,
Cool. That's really interesting. I love hearing a different strategy. I've been trading now for about 3 years, and I would call myself a bit of a trading nerd. I've been obsessed with it for the last 3 years. So I've heard a lot of strategies. I've seen a lot of different things. I've talked to a lot of different people. That's the first time I've ever heard somebody using the EMA and the angle of the EMA in that way. But it's really cool to hear. I love hearing new and interesting takes, and knowing that how much time you put into back testing it. That's super interesting. Now I want to ask you about the back testing. You had mentioned that it's hard to back test the 1 minute and the 15 minute at the same time, for example. What is your technique to back testing? How do you back test? Do you have a specific tool, a specific software that you like to use? What is your process when it comes to back testing?
yeah, so back testing has been the cornerstone. I use a trading view. Trading
Okay.
view has I mean, I've tried some other ones, and I just like trading view the
Mm-hmm.
most. It has the most options, it has the most indicators. Though in the end, it's funny how I only have the 9 EMA and the 21 EMA,
Yeah, yeah.
and I have all these things that are available. That
There's
you can.
hundreds, hundreds.
I see some people's charts in the chat in Discord, and there's just like all these things on it. But so I use TradingView. I use Curtis Chapman time something. It's Curtis Chapman's time, and what it does is it gives you vertical bars
Mm-hmm.
on specific times, and you can set them to what time they're on. So for
Okay.
this strategy, man, I didn't. I'm giving you guys my whole strategy here.
Yeah,
Uh,
listen, that's all right. That's all right. We're very small fish in a very big pond.
it's true.
I don't think it should affect anything negatively. Although I don't know, maybe the big money might come steal us. You never know.
If they do that, I'm just gonna laugh. I'm sorry. Can you
You're gonna hear
imagine?
you're gonna hear somebody on CNN talking about their 1 minute 9 EMA strategy.
That's funny. So I use the bars, and so for
Mhm,
this one, I have them every 20 minutes, starting at 11 o'clock. When I say
mhm.
11 o'clock, I'm talking about New York time because that's where
Okay. So yeah, you're trading 11 o'clock Eastern during the New York session.
exactly. Yeah. So my life is just based there. That's where I
Mhm.
teach as well.
Okay. In
In
New York.
Yeah. So I'm living in the wrong time zone. But anyways, so I have the bars up that tell me, and I have it every 20 minutes,
Hmm.
and then I'm able to just put on the 9 EMA, the 21 EMA, and I start with today, and I will just go through, and I will use the measuring tool, and
Hmm.
I will say, okay, this one you had to put on your blinders and not see what the rest of the day was like, and just look at the rules. And I just I think this would have been long. I measure it up to the next 20 minute. Okay, that one's still in. Okay, we're going to keep going. All right, here it reverses. I would get out here, and then I write down. So I measure up to what I would have made, and I write down what um, that number was, how many points I
Hmm.
got, and I'll just do that throughout the whole day. The other thing that I forgot to mention about my strategy is if I'm still holding a trade at the end of the day, then I will get out 15 minutes before the US 30 closes, which is
Those
5
last
o'clock New York time.
Yeah, those last 15 minutes can get a little wacky sometimes. You can get some crazy spikes in either direction.
and get it stopped out whenever
Yeah.
you wouldn't have, and it actually, yeah. Um, but so I have this on a Google Doc, and I'll
Hmm.
just put down the dates, and I write down the results of each one, and then I'll just go to the next day and the next day, and it goes for hours and hours and hours and hours. I spend this probably thousands and thousands of trades, hundreds of hours probably doing this.
So you have a
So
ton. You have a ton of data on that Google Doc about this stuff.
I actually have more than one now, but I have ones that are like 100 pages long of back testing. It's crazy. So I mean, my advice is just to take an idea that you have and don't put it on the market, please. Please don't do that. Go to TradingView or one of the other ones
Mhm.
and back test it and back test. See, is your idea a good idea or is it a really awful one? And then come up with a new idea. And back testing gives you other ideas like, oh,
Mm,
maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that.
good point.
Another thing is that back testing has helped me with, and I actually started doing this on the live account, is I have actually added together all of the trades, and it showed that Monday, Thursday, and Friday are much more profitable on this strategy than
Hmm.
Tuesday and Wednesday. And I would have only known that by going back and doing the back testing and adding those days together. So I've decided not to trade on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I was not on the market today or
Okay, that's smart. Yeah. So that's a really awesome back testing strategy that you have. Do you journal your trades throughout the day that you took? Do you spend some time at the end of your trading day and journal your trades and kind of review that data, or how do you go about that portion of it?
So yeah, I wish that I was better at journaling my trades. I really wish that I was better at that, but I actually do not. But at the end of the day, I will go back and review the the trades, um, and look and see what I made, how many trades I took. Then I go and I back test that day, that
Okay.
very day after the market is closed, and
Mhm.
say, okay, this is what was supposed to happen. Now what actually happened. And and what I'll see is that I lose. A lot of times I lose some points. So if you are going to use a strategy, it needs to be pretty profitable. It can't just be a little bit profitable because you're going to lose some points. And
Sure.
sometimes I get lucky, and I actually did better than what I was supposed to do. It doesn't
There you
happen.
go.
Neither of those happen very often, but they balance each other out as well.
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah, I would call that a version of journaling. I think. I think it's like your own kind of unique process to journaling, but obviously you're spending plenty of time reviewing your strategy and confirming and just dialing it. It sounds like you're just kind of like dialing that strategy in every chance you get, which is awesome. I think it's a great way to go about it. Um, so is there anything that you as a trader in particular struggled with, whether it be over trading or oversizing or revenge trading? Was there any struggle in particular that you had that you would have a piece of advice for any new trader that's watching or somebody that might be dealing with a similar struggle? Is there anything that you can think of?
yeah, so absolutely, all a lot of the main ones that everybody struggles with, of course, I've struggled with. Um, you know what what gets me the most is whenever I missed the trade like 2 minutes ago, and I took the and my rule is I take the trade as long as it hasn't been too long,
Okay.
and then I see like I lost those points in between where I
Hmm.
was supposed to get in and not get in. Drives me crazy, especially when you see it like it starts losing and it starts getting close to that stop loss, and then you see it hit your stop loss and then go back up, and you were supposed to have a better position than what you were supposed to have. That absolutely drives me nuts. Also, seeing profit, you go into big profit, and then actually that doesn't bother me so much. Honestly, these things don't bother me as much.
Anymore? Hmm.
You know what I feel like? I feel like so before, and I used to get like little bitty accounts, like 5K account, just to
Hmm.
make it like feel real. And then I would trade, and then I'd freak out, and then like at the end of the day, like I would be down, and so then I would just start trading, and then I'd over trade, and then lose the
Yeah.
account. But now, like, I feel like I'm more of like just like a captive audience to my trading,
Mm.
where it's like I'm feeling all those emotions, but I feel like I've been like tranquilized or something, where I know that I can't do anything because I know that any mistake I make is going to be way more painful than anything that the market could possibly do to me, because I'm going to hate myself whenever I make that mistake. So I just don't do it.
Yeah. So you just kind of force yourself to stick to your roles and your game plan that you've created, and I think any trader that's been there can relate to that. When you have a system, you have to trust it, because as soon as you start to deviate from it, things can go off the rails kind of quickly. So sometimes sticking to that system and sticking to your roles can be uncomfortable. You wanna impromptu change things up, and that's a hard thing to master as a trader. So, but it comes with I think it comes with time and experience. And I think another thing that we could say about your back testing is you're sort of getting that screen time and that experience in like leaps and bounds, like tons of extra screen time and experience, from what it sounds like to me, from how you've back tested and everything, which I'm sure is just a major advantage in being able to deal with that uncomfortableness and those emotions when you're in trades.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the thing that I do is now is like when I'm tempted to do something, and I'm like, man, I could take that profit. I just this is crazy. I just say to myself, you know what? I'll see the account burn to the ground before I break my rules right now. And that actually,
Love
for
it.
some reason, a level of insanity, it helps me just to be a good trader and not make
Yes.
mistakes.
I think you got to be a little crazy, right? In an industry where 90 to 95% of people aren't successful, you got to go against the grain. Sometimes that's sticking to your rules at an insane insane cost. I understand where you're coming from there for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I've heard some traders that are successful say, "I just don't feel pain and all of that stuff."
Hmm.
I'm like, this okay? Are you like you're a sociopath? I
Yeah.
don't think it's about not feeling the pain. It's about not doing anything whenever you feel.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's about just like being able to sit and handle that discomfort, and almost lean into it in a sense.
Yeah,
And it's just like, hey, listen, this feels wrong, but it's like, yeah, everybody else who's trading thinking the same thing. Sometimes you got to do the things that don't feel naturally correct. So
yeah. So and I won't lie. I'll be there in a trade, and it'll be on the 1 minute chart, and here comes resistance. And I'll be the 5 minute chart, 15, 4 hour, 1 day, going back and forth, thinking it all out in my mind, and then I'll go back to the 1 minute chart and be like, okay, that was painful, but and then sometimes it goes the resistance, and then comes back down, and I'm like, I just have to let it go. This is so horrible, but yeah, that's like whenever you feel that I feel like that's the moment, like where your success really can be made, because a lot of times what happens is it goes to that resistance, and then
mhm.
it comes back down and plays around with your stop loss, or where your 0 point, and then it's a pullback, and then it decides to go break the
Make new highs, the
yeah.
resistance. Yeah.
And then I can also be like, I can trade, I can trust my strategy that if it's going to continue going down, then maybe my strategy is going to get me
You'll
in there.
flip short. Yeah. Yeah,
But
I like your take on the strategy where you're very open to flipping your bias, and you don't get too hung up in one direction. Because I think as a trader, that's one of the hardest things to do. If you have a long bias, to then go ahead and flip your bias short, it's really tricky, because it's super frustrating when you're in a long and you start to get thinking it's going to be, so you cut it and you flip short, and then all of a sudden the long keeps working. It's like, it can be one of the most frustrating things. So yeah,
that happens with this sometimes.
Oh,
I get
I bet, yeah. But I do like that that you open yourself up to that flipping of the bias. I think it's a unique skill to have. And I won't. We've stolen your whole strategy now. Ha ha ha. And I'm just kidding. But I will keep you too much longer. I just want to ask about kind of your experience with FunderPro as a prop firm, and then maybe how you handle your profits. Do you take are you trying to grow your account at all, or do you take all of your profit when you make it? Do you take a portion of your profits when you make them and leave a part in to grow? And so, just if you could talk a little bit about your experience overall with FunderPro and sort of those profit management strategies that you use.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have taken all the profit that I have made, and I do realize that it there are benefits to leaving some of that in there because
Sure.
yeah, it's complicated, but really like the difference in the size of the accounts really is the amount of risk that
Hmm.
you are able to have. So if you have profits and you leave it in there, then it's kind of like having a bigger account, but you just wouldn't have the leverage that you need. So I'm not even close to the size. I don't think it.
Like max leverage, yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, so I take the profits. I plan on doing the either the 100K or the 200K challenge. We're gonna see how that works out. I would like to learn how to program a bot because
Mhm.
I feel like that my strategy could be ran by a bot.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Like, there's
Yeah, we have I know Trade Locker has I think it's called Trades AI, which is I believe a tool that is you're supposed to be able to use AI to then kind of without having to know how to code or anything, use kind of artificial intelligence to be able to create your bot just by kind of explaining what you want it to do. So I know I don't know all the details on that. I probably should, but they I know it was being tested at least, but if you check out, me or Scott can send you a link, but look into Trades AI from Trade Locker. It's a tool they have that can help you kind of build out a bot, which yeah, I agree with you. It sounds like your strategy might be something that you could automate in some sense, which would be cool.
yeah, like I would be able to sit there and watch it and
Sure.
everything.
Hmm.
Uh, Yeah, it's kind of scary because you just don't know. Like the other day, actually two times. One time, the candle, like it was just the market itself, nothing to do with FunderPro. The candle just went just so far in 1 minute, and I was supposed to get in that trade, and I'm like, oh man, I might have lost a lot of money, and I was a minute late. And then there was
Mm.
another time when the market just started acting a little crazy, and I didn't know why, and it wasn't like on our calendar or anything like that because it
Like
just ran.
wasn't data. Yeah.
This just happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah.
So having a bot, yeah, it could be kind of scary in those
Yeah.
situations. But anyways, but so I have been taking my profits, but in the future, if I do get um, I'm trying to kind of fund this um, new. I'm hoping that this will become my job.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I want to start out with some profits so that
Sure.
you know. But with Funder Pro, so one of my most respected people that I watch on YouTube, I so bad Arthur.
Yeah.
Ar-
Artie. I think Artie they call him. Is it AMA? Is it? I know. I'm familiar with him a little bit. I know who you're talking about. He's the bald guy, right?
yeah, he's a bald guy, lives in Poland. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, so he recommended it because the things that happened with the other prop firms, and I said, you know what, I like this guy a lot. I'm going to trust him. I went with Funder Pro, and you know what, Funder Pro has done exactly what it promised the whole time. The rules were very clear, even though they do have the consistency rule. I was it was very clear what I had to do,
Hmm.
and the payouts have been absolutely incredible. So on my
Yep.
my first payout, I got the full amount in my bank account. It did take a few days, but then I did crypto, and those payments are came. Both of them came within like minutes, within an hour for sure. And I had them. I did through Coinbase and sent it to my bank account and had the money almost immediately. And like that's at the end of the day, that is the thing that our goal is to make money on the market, right? I
Yeah.
love trading. It's a lot of fun, But at the end of the day, if you don't actually get the money, then you know. But
Big waste of time.
I think that this is the best prop firm that there is, you
Thank
know,
you.
because of that very aspect right there. Everybody's been very courteous, and the customer service has been very impressive. So I definitely recommend FunderPro. And I appreciate you guys making those payments on time and everything. That has been super huge. I like the dashboard. You know what? I love Trade Locker. I
Yeah.
thought I wasn't gonna love Trade Locker, but you know what I love about Trade Locker is I can pop in, I can push that buy button and put in the amount I want to risk, three
Yeah, I
hundred
like that
dollars,
feature
four
too.
hundred dollars, and
And it
it will automatically.
automatically, yep.
Yeah, so I don't make a mistake whenever I'm putting in what I want, where I want my stop, like MT4, drive
Hmm.
me nuts.
Yeah.
Um, so with the Trade Locker, it just, yeah, you
Yeah.
just put
If you want
in.
to risk $50 or $100 on a trade, you can put in that dollar amount. And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but yeah, you can put in that dollar amount, and it just automatically adjusts your lot size based off of your stop loss. So if you say I want to risk $100 on this trade, you can then drag your stop loss to where you want it on the screen, and it'll say, okay, this should be 0.4 lots or whatever it may be. So, which is a really cool feature that Trade Locker offers.
Absolutely. So I fell in love with Trade Locker. So good payouts, good the application that you guys the broker, wait, what's that called? The software that you use is great,
Oh
and
yeah,
um, and the customer service. There's Discord. It's a small community. Like
sure.
I don't know what else more you could ask for, honestly. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, great. That's awesome. We appreciate and love hearing you say that, and we're glad that you've had a great experience so far. We're really impressed with your trading. It's awesome to have traders like you that are able to do things consistently, and we're looking forward to seeing your continued success. Just on that 100K, 200K account, see those profits get even bigger. I'm sure that that'll be exciting. So we wish you the best of luck in your future trading, and hope this can be a long, ongoing relationship. And hopefully you and I will get to do this again here sometime soon.
all right, yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks FunderPro for helping my dreams become a reality.
Absolutely, Brandon. Yeah, have that's awesome. Love to hear it. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and good luck. Good luck in all your trading. Trade safe.
Thank you.
All right, man. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, so I'm gonna end this recording here, but just hang out for me 1 second.